Jipkin. Currently it is not available in the Jipkin. Let's make one request to my REST API, then it will come into the Jipkin also. Localhost colon 9090/greet. Am I able to access my greet API? Am I able to access my greet API? Now go to Jipkin. Now go to Jipkin. Is it coming in the Jipkin also? Is it coming in the Jipkin also? My API is displaying in the Jipkin also or not? My API is coming in the Jipkin also. What is doing in the Jipkin? It is displaying show this greet API execution time you can monitor here. This greet API has taken how much time to process. So I have sent a request to the greet API. It has taken 22.78 milliseconds. One service is executed. This is a trace ID. Who is generating this trace ID and span ID? This trace ID and span ID generated by Slath dependency. This trace ID and span ID generated by Slath dependency. That Slath dependency trace ID span ID we can monitor by using Jipkin server. This is called distributed log tracing. To do the distributed log tracing in the microservices, we are going to use a concept called Slath Jipkin. Slath will generate IDs. It generates IDs for logs. Jipkin monitor. Jipkin is used for monitoring purpose. Slath is for generating purpose. My application is having a log. For the log message, Slath is going to generate the ID. Jipkin is used to monitor. Now, by looking at this Jipkin, can I see what is the request we have received for our API? What is the URL pattern? Which controller is executed? When the server started? When the server finished the request processing? Okay, so this is the time when we got the request. This is the time when the request processing got completed. And what is the total time it has taken? 22 milliseconds of time it has taken. So can I say Jipkin is used for tracing purpose? Can I say Jipkin is used for tracing purpose? Yes or no? Jipkin I am using for tracing purpose. Now go to admin server. Currently, how many clients are registered with admin? One client is available. Click on this client application. Click on this empty space. Wow, lot of information it is providing about our application. Metrics of our application, environment of our application, port number which is running, and what are the beans loaded by our application, what are the config properties loaded by our application, what is the loggers available in our application. In the interview, they will ask a question, can we change the log level of your project without restarting? Yes. What is the default log level for my application? Info. Can I change it to error? Yes, I can set the log level. That is called monitoring and managing your application. Now go to JVM. You can download the thread dump of your JVM. You can download the thread dump of your JVM. That means how many threads are running in the JVM for our application. You can download that. Download the thread dump. Heap dump. Download the heap dump. Heap dump is a sensitive data. All the objects which are created in the JVM heap also we can download by using download heap dump. Mappings. What are the URL patterns available for your application? You can get it. What are the cache implementations you have done for your project? You can get it. Now, so how we are getting all the details for our application? These are called as actuator endpoints. These are called as actuator endpoints of our application. So who is providing actuator endpoints? What is the health of our application? Health is up /actuator/health. It is providing the health of the application. Who is providing all the details for us? How we are able to monitor and manage my application? My application is having a actuator endpoint. My application is having a actuator endpoint, and my application is registered with the Eureka client. So that Eureka client my application is admin client. My admin client registered with the admin server. Admin server will provide you user interface to monitor and manage your application. So as we have enabled actuators for our application, we are able to monitor all these details of our application. See here, greet API available. Don't click on the URL, guys. Click on the empty space and click on the empty space. Then you will see all the details. Details of the application, metrics of the application. Metrics means What is the HTTP request count, exception request count, method get request, URI, for which URI the request came, outcome, success, status, 200, add metric. Okay, so total count, total metrics we are adding, how many requests we got for our application, how many requests are successful, how many requests are failure. Suppose I want to retrieve the failure requests, then you can go for exceptional requests. Okay, if any exception occurred, you can get that. Environment, what are the environment properties we are using, what are the beans loaded, what are the configuration properties loaded, scheduled tasks in our application, loggers of our application, heap dump, thread dump of our application, mappings of our application, catch it pattern implemented in our application. So who is providing all the details? Admin server providing all the details. So our application is acting as the admin client. Admin server provided UI to monitor these details. Okay. Eureka server provided a user interface. What is the purpose of Eureka server user interface, guys? What is the purpose of Eureka server user interface? Can you tell me? What is the purpose of Eureka server user interface? Jipkin UI we understood. It is used for tracing of the logs, how much time it has taken to process our request, which request came to our REST API, when the request came, when the response sent, how much time it took to process, that we can monitor by using Jipkin. Admin server is used to monitor and manage by using actuators of our applications. Then what is the purpose of Eureka? What is the purpose of Eureka? It lists all the REST APIs which are registered, and what is the URL? And what is the URL? What is the API and what is the URL? So tomorrow, if you want to understand how many APIs available in the project, which UI you need to see, you need to see Eureka UI, admin server, or Jipkin server UI. Which UI will give you all the DB, all the services available in the project? Eureka server UI is going to give you all the details. Okay, now how I have created my project? Eureka, how I have created a Greet API. Service registry completed, admin server completed, Jipkin server completed. Steps to develop Eureka class, steps to develop Greet API. Steps to develop Greet API. Eureka discovery client, starter web, dev tools. Then I have added actuator, Slate, Jipkin, admin client. So what are the dependencies we have added, guys? Total 7 dependencies we have added. Total we have added 7 dependencies. Eureka discovery client, starter web, dev tools, actuator, Slate, Jipkin, admin client. Then we have added enable discovery client annotation at start class. Then we configure below properties in the YML file. What are the properties I configured in the YML? So many. What are the properties I configured in the YML? Server port, application name, admin client, Eureka server URL, actuator endpoints. Run the application and check in Eureka dashboard. It should display in the Eureka dashboard. Okay, create a boot application with the below dependencies. Configure enable discovery client annotation at the start class. Create a REST controller with required method. Create REST controller with required method. I have created a Greet REST controller. In that REST controller, I have taken a GET request method, and I configured these properties in the YML file. Run the application and check in the Eureka dashboard. It display in the Eureka dashboard. Access the REST controller method and check in. Run the Eureka application, check in the Eureka dashboard. It should display in the Eureka dashboard. Check admin dashboard. Check admin server dashboard. It should display. It should display. We can monitor from here. We can access application details from here. Application details from here. What details? Example, beans, loggers, heap dump, thread dump, heap dump, thread dump, metrics, mappings, etc. All these things you can access from admin server dashboard. Send a request to REST API. Send a request to REST API method. Check Jipkin UI. Check Jipkin server UI. It will display trace ID with the details. It will display trace ID with the details. Now see, I have opened Jipkin. So when you go to the Jipkin server, then just click on run query. Go to Jipkin server UI. Go to Jipkin server UI and click on run query button. It will display trace ID with execution details. Are you clear with all these things now? Whatever we have developed. So total 4 projects we have developed. Eureka server project, admin server project, Jipkin server project, Greet API. So now this Greet API acting as a client for Eureka server, client for admin server, client for Jipkin server. Now I want to develop one more API, guys, which is called as Welcome API. I want to develop one more API called Welcome API. One more REST API I want to do. One more REST API I want to develop, which is called as Welcome API. Now the thing is, Welcome API also going to act as a client for all these 3. Welcome API also going to act as a client for Eureka server. Welcome client also should act as a client for Eureka server. Welcome client should act as a Welcome API should act as a client for admin server. Welcome API should act as a client for Jipkin server. Along with that, I want to use one more cloud concept, guys, here, which is called FIAN client, which is called as FIAN client. What should happen is, when I send a request to the Welcome API should talk to FIAN client should talk to Greet API. One service want to communicate with the another service, that I am going to implement by using inter-service communication. What I want to do here, I want to establish the communication from one API to another API by using inter-service communication. How to implement inter-service communication by using microservices? How to implement inter-service communication in the microservices? Can you guys tell me? By using FIAN client. By using FIAN client, I will tell you what is the advantage of the FIAN client, why we need to go for the FIAN client also. I'm going to discuss that. Are you clear with this one? What we are going to do now? I'm going to develop one REST API, which is called Welcome API. Welcome API also going to act as a client for all the 3. Welcome API will use a concept called FIAN client. Welcome API is going to act as a FIAN client. Now here I will send a request to the Welcome API. Welcome API will send a request to the FIAN client. FIAN client will send the request to Greet API. Greet API will give the response to FIAN client. FIAN client will give the response to Welcome API. Welcome API will give the response to me. So that is what we want to develop. That is what we want to develop. Understood now? Interesting. Interesting or boring? It is interesting or boring? Interesting, huh? Total microservices concepts we are implementing. Right? Chalo. Let's start Welcome API development now. Let's start Welcome API development. Okay. File new Spring Starter project. So this API 04 Welcome API 04 Welcome API. Next. Now tell me what are the dependencies I have to select. Same all the 7 dependencies I have to select or not? Jipkin client, boot actuator, discovery client, web dependency, Slate. What is this? admin client dev tools, admin client, okay. Jipkin client, boot actuator, discovery client, web dependency, Slate dependency. Next one, dev tools and all. Dev tools, Slate, Jipkin, actuator, admin client. Is this admin client one? Let me select it. Yeah, admin client, Eureka client, web dependency, extra FIAN client. What is that? Cloud routing, FIAN client, open FIAN. This is a new dependency I have added, guys. This dependency not available in the Greet API, but this dependency I am adding in the Welcome API. Chalo, next, finish. Stop these projects for time being. Welcome API created. Welcome API created. Refresh. Now go to pom.xml, see the dependencies we have configured. Actuator we have configured. Web starter we have configured. Client starter, admin client we have configured. Jipkin client we have configured. Eureka client we have configured. FIAN client we have configured. Slate we have configured. So total how many dependencies I have added? 8 dependencies I have added. How many dependencies I have added, guys? Total 8 dependencies I have added. Very good. Now go to this project application.java. Yeah, specify enable discovery client. I want to represent this project as a Eureka client application. Enable discovery client. Enable discovery client. I want to use the FIAN client also here, so I'm going to write one more annotation called enable FIAN clients. FIAN client dependency also we have opened. Enable FIAN clients. So 2 dependencies I have, 2 annotations I have configured. Enable discovery client and enable FIAN client. Enable discovery client, enable FIAN client I have configured. Now, guys, can you tell me what is the purpose of the FIAN client here?